Hi everyone, welcome to Malvern Books today. This is a great reading and a really great turnout. Thanks for coming out today. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce John McElhaney, who's going to then introduce the rest of the five guys who he has up next. So John McElhaney is an internationally recognized single-parent author and coach. His blog, wholeparent.org, has been syndicated widely and gets 15,000 reads a month. John lives in Austin with his 2 kids. Please welcome John.
So this is a little labor of love, and I'm really glad you guys came out to join us. 4 of these guys, 4 of us, have been meeting for over 28 years. Not consecutively. We didn't do it for about 25 in the middle. But we started again, and about 3 years ago, we started getting together on Sundays when it worked with our schedules, and getting together and sharing being men. And then also we'd write some poetry, share what we were into, and this is the result. We decided at the beginning of the summer, maybe we would gather some of our poems together. You're going to hear 5 pretty distinct voices, very different. We're all coming from the same place, but we got about it in many different ways. I'm going to read you the little tag on the back end that John Lee wrote that sort of describes what the book is about. Remember when everything in town was closed on Sundays? It was a day of rest, a day to visit the quiet. On every other Sunday, 5 of us friends who have known each other for 30 plus years sit together, open up, and tell each other our longings and share poems from our present, past, and future. This book of poems is an open invitation for you to join us. So I'm honored to be sitting here with all of these guys. They're fantastic writers. I'm going to just briefly go with their introductions. The book says who they are. And the inside back cover are the longer bios if you want to know more about John's many books. This is John Lee. This is Lyman Grant. Bill Jeffers. And our poet David Jewell. And I'm John McElhaney, and I just happen to be fortunate to be here with all these guys. So we're going to do a round robin. We're just going to take selections from the book and sort of read in a circle, so you don't get too much of any one of us, and hopefully you get enough of all of us. So John, start us off, would you?
All right. Well,
Do you want to stand? Would it help if you would stand?
Yeah.
Yes?
yeah, you want to stand?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well,
Now you got it. Now you've got it.
yeah,
There you go.
well, okay. I don't think I'm that tall, but I could be.
down.
I
Push
could
it down.
be. My first depressing poem but they're short. That's the good news. They're all pretty depressing, but they're short. This is called Some Marriages. See what I mean?
We're already there with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was good. That was great.
I've never said 2 words before.
That's the whole thing.
Some marriages are great symmetrical structures made from a deck of cards. Everything stacks up so well. Then a strong, cruel wind blows those lined up cardboards, and they become birds that soar everywhere. The ace of clubs flies up into someone's sleeve, perhaps the arm of someone we've never met before. The wild deuces head for the West Texas desert, and the king and the queen sleep in separate beds. The lazy black jack buys a house in the suburbs and pays for the 10 of hearts to go back to college. The rest of the deck quotes Rilke as they all ascend into the heavens, whispering, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror." More depressing ones to come.
Excuse me. And is there a stool here somewhere? Stool?
High school.
A high stool? You don't have one?
You can sit if you need to. We can just move the.
I have a gimpy back, and so I'll
Just read the short ones.
Where are those? So this is a poem that I wrote for a fellow I went to grad school with way back in '79 or so.
Do you need this stuff here?
That would
Yeah,
be
that'll work.
lovely.
There you go. Yeah, we did first class there.
Yeah, I hope I don't fall off. And so this is a poem, about having a correspondence with this friend from long ago. It's titled "The High Shelf." As I'm on the high stool. I planned this. And it's for Bill Henry. My friend, I have been pondering a point you made about fame and the lack of it, about the shove and push of mediated notoriety, about your hopes, mine too, of taking a place beside our heroes on the shelves of history. You'll notice that my language here has turned a tad old-fashioned. It is respect, a feeling close to love more than nostalgia that invites a graceful and tender tone when speaking to our youth's companion about the faded phantoms of our once desire. The thing we see today that shines was not a fad that passing time or the latest trends can debase, but late nights of cheap wine conversation and coffee became decades of silence while we did the work God gave us to do. And then it was done or not done, like a meal we planned to share at end of day, but had forgot to turn the oven on. A life with so much stirring and so little fire. And now you write about the simple lunch outside beneath the oaks, a gentle breeze that, and recommend a book that makes an anxious heart accept its fate. I read it late at night while children from my second wife are sleeping. There's really nothing else there's nothing else I'd prefer to do than finish out the years we have receiving word from you about the blessed life you live with books. There's no time for regret. I'll save the letters in a cardboard box my sons will find someday up high as if it were a golden gift. I got it down. Anybody else want this? Stand, will you use it?
You have a soft chair.
Oh.
Here, I'll take it away.
Take it away.
With wheels.
Yeah. This is called In the Paradise House. A friend of mine lives in Sebastopol, California, and her house has a big picture window that looks out in her kind of scruffy yard, but then there's a big hill that goes down to a vineyard, and the sun comes up over the coastal range, and the sun and that incredible vineyard that goes up another hill It's just an amazing place. So I wrote this in her house one morning. In the Paradise House, with its yellow walls beaming quietly inside, and the exuberant abundance of every living thing reaching for sustenance around us, it all goes perfectly on. We sit at the perfect table, wondering how to remodel and realign ourselves so that we are doing the perfect thing in the perfect way. Like a key clicking smoothly through the tumblers and springing the final secret lock, opening the long imagined world of abundant happiness and joyous, productive creativity and deep and enduring, loving friendships, and an unshakable sense of belonging. What we hope for, what we fear that we will never see. And all the while, the light is rising through the rooms of the Paradise House, and we are there at the perfect table with the perfect world around us as it has only ever been. Exactly and intricately what it is. And as we already are, exactly and only ourselves, and perfectly so.
Sometimes you gotta get a little extra pause after one like that. This is a song called Mostly Happier. Song? Did I say song? Oh. I'm a songwriter. She is in a space between, an in-between time. A nascent love affair, and distance has its advantages and perils. I'm not sure she's clear on what she's asking or complaining about, but I cannot give rise to the occasion, not give chase or chastisement. And it's better if we coast a bit in our separate beds, remembering our desire in the alone time and spaces between cuddles and before reassurance. I'll wait and give it time to settle in, that all things are fine, all is right with the hearts attached and removed, and frustration is okay, heated desire is okay, lack of trust is not okay. So I back off and smooth down my own feathers, give myself the reassurances of what is known and what is to be discovered. Isn't that the joy? The anticipated departures together and apart? As this is one big departure from the world we knew before we touched and pierced some unguarded moment. Isn't this distance just the trick to bring us closer, warmer, more considerate? As if to say, I don't need you, I desire you, and want you to be happy, alone, but mostly happier with me.
I want to say thanks to Malvern Books for letting us do this here. Best bookstore in town. Don't forget the gents here. It's called Toaster Bot. It's almost a true story. I wanted to make toast this morning, but my toaster bot said I had to download Quick Flame or it wouldn't make anything. Barely awake, I tried to download the upgrade, but it said I couldn't upgrade unless I prepaid High Brain and then rebooted to synthesize the new Wonder Wave. Somehow, I managed to do that. I put bread in the toaster, but it said I had to specify the type of bread, exactly how crispy or golden brown or burnt I wanted it to be. I said I want it double burnt. It said I had to enter my password and debit card number for the double burnt option. It is extra. I threw the toaster out the window and ran over it with my car, which my car barely agreed to do, and then drove to the restaurant. I started to order toast and coffee from the speaker screen at my table, but it interrupted me to ask how I was feeling on this scintillatingly beautiful day. I said, I want double burnt cinnamon toast and cinnamon coffee. The speaker screen said, if I ordered 3 eggs, bacon, and biscuits, it would be cheaper. I said, that's okay, I just really want double burnt cinnamon toast and cinnamon coffee. It said if I ordered the pancake belly slammer, it would be cheaper, and asked how I was feeling on this beautifully scintillating day. I ripped the speaker screen off the wall, but my grumpy act was instantly broad-posted and down-thumbed by the new Never Sleep table cam. 10 seconds later, 3 attitude police barged in with their nanobots barking. I shut down my neural weave and left quietly. Then I drove to the Retro Mart to see if they had a 1965 Toastmaster General with plastic push-down handles and deco trim. They did. What a scintillatingly beautiful day.
Okay, iPad. You go ahead. Back to depression. I'm looking at my poems. I have nothing funny.
You're funny.
I'm funny.
That was funny.
But my poetry is just like dark, gloomy. Maybe I better reevaluate. Yeah. Well, let's see. How do you follow that? Well, I'm going to read you one, not too depressing, but it's old. I wrote this right after World War II. This was when I got back. Felt like I needed to say something about love. It's not that upbeat, but it's about love. East know the ancient path that parents laid out for them in the sky. When horses are born, first thing they do is walk, even if their legs are like water. I remember the animals seem to know what to do when it's time. I remember the first time a woman said to me, "Let me hold you." This was a path I did not recall. I turned and I twisted my body like a colt leaving the birth canal, and finally I fell into the deep grass of her arms. I laid there on my left arm until it went sound asleep. And for just a few minutes, I didn't care if I ever stood on my own 2 feet again. That's the happy. Come here, boy.
So this one's a long one, but the lines are short. And it's about visiting. It starts off visiting my 20-year-old son at college in Birmingham, Alabama. going down to visit and then driving back and such. It's titled Pancakes. Easter, he has risen. He has risen indeed. Up early, breakfast with Jacob at the original pancake house. I don't know what's so original about this one. There must be over 100 of them nationwide. But the original pancake house in Portland is as old as I will be in 3 days. Is there any meaning in that? Then 10 hours on the road, back home. Good visit. I miss Jacob being in the house with us every day. The kids have to grow up and go to college. He's doing fine, doing a fine job of that. The drive was the drive, no messing around. Drive, get the job done, stop for gasoline, bathrooms, stretching, and once for fried chicken and biscuits. Efficient and home in time to organize for work and school tomorrow. Was the landscape pretty? Who knows? One thing I thought about was the two places, 177 Ross Drive and 324 Redwood Street. Two houses I lived in Birmingham from 1953 to 1964. We drove by yesterday just to see, both a little run down, neither the best or worst house on the block. I stood in the street at both houses to take photos to send to my sisters, but I wonder why. It's a schizoid exercise. I return to recapture memories, I guess. Beautiful mossy fairyland in a nearby creek. Exciting rock climbing on huge and memory outcroppings. An Easter rock fight with neighborhood kids, bloody forehead in emergency room. Peeing in my pants down the block because I was told to come home and my parents are angry. A roller skate cart, God, the noise of that. My mother taking my picture because I look like what she thinks Huck Finn would look like. Timing ourselves walking home from elementary school during the Cuban Missile Crisis to see if we could make it home before the big one hits. Throwing a rubber ball against the tall backyard wall, practicing grounders and long output flies. Saturday night popcorn, testing my gun drawing against Matt Dillon. This is a compulsion, sort of. Where do these memories reside? Do I want them to be enlivened, these places, in that being that I am overlapping containers of time? Here's the big question for me, standing in the street while the other people inside with their own ghost, their own multiple selves walking around talking to each other. And who knows, maybe to my ghost also. And my sisters and parents' ghosts, they bump into each other in the crowded door frame and say, "Are you still here? Why haven't you left yet?" There's my father in the brick barbecue pits he's built at each house. It's Sunday afternoon before Easter Sunday. And the 2010 memory ghost looks out the window and says to no one in particular, "There's that guy again, broiling T-bones back in 1963, and his son playing with plastic Civil War soldiers making the South win again." Smoke rises in the breeze. But here's the big question. I'm going to say it this time. But I want my entire life to have been lived in this town in one of these houses. Who would that ghost be? And if I don't want to be that ghost, those ghosts, why am I standing in the street wondering what is going on inside? Why not mean it when we say goodbye? Inside there is a mother yelling at her son. She has a leather belt doubled up in her fist, and she's thwacking the 10-year-old boy. This time he grabs the belt from her and tells her that this time that she stops whipping him. Inside, the ghosts are still staring at each other, and this mother will not beat this boy again. And you know what prompted the argument, that prompted the beating? It was all about pancakes. How the boy wanted to eat the dinner his mother had prepared that night. He didn't want syrup. She thought that was weird. Pancakes.
Everybody don't hurt your back.
I'm going to read a couple little short pieces. the unexpected owls. The unexpected owls arrived as they did every time, just as the sun was setting. Their talons gripping tightly as the high branches sagged and the trees swayed. Their searchlight eyes ready for night. Their tremendous wings folded soft against their bodies, ready to take them wherever the moon and hunger required. Their throats barred with dark feathers rippled, while their cries, like dogs barking in the distance, carried back and forth between them as if we didn't exist. They brought a whole world with them when they came, complete and unbeholden to our light-filled TV flicker, keeping the wild away. This one's called The Big Wind. The big one from the northwest, buffeting everything in its path, every building, every house, every person standing there, every car, every bird flying or perched, every insect struggling on its way. The big wind. Where does it come from? We say west or east, but really, where inside the invisible ocean of substance we call the air around us, the air we breathe, the air our airplanes make their way through, the invisible air, the empty air, the air we constantly ignore until the big wind comes and slaps us in the face. Pay attention, it says. There are bigger things than you, stronger, wilder, touching everything, tasting everything, knowing everything there is to know. And another incredible piece, Little Wind. It's a companion. The big winds are one thing, but what about those little puffs, 10 feet wide, that fluttered the leaves on a single tree for a second or two, and then move on or fade to nothing? Where did they come from? What caused them to become something when a second before they were merely thin air?
David, you don't have any more funny ones, do you? This is called I Can't Seem to Stop Typing. I've never been to Ayers Rock or on a walkabout or where you are, but it's not like a dream about Oz. I don't or didn't until you lived there, like some distant surface of a planet. I've never inhabited Moody's, yes, playing the board game Risk, yes, but those beaches, that rock, those natives, and some ancient hallucinogen that would turn us all into lizards again. Back to our core brain function. Eat, sleep, repeat. No religion, no God, but the heat of the sun on a rock, or the heat of the fire as our dead bodies ripen for ritualistic consumption. I've never been a shaman, but I think I get the concept. I saw the movie. I wrestled with the existential dilemma. I embraced a friend and sang the song of myself, and he smiled. Something in the universe appreciated our cacophony and reverence towards Mother Earth, towards the sacredness of women, the sanctity of sex, and how our perception of reality has been dumbed down by thousands of years of brain development, mental maturity, language overlays, separating us from our childish selves, our experience of the color blue, and the ecstasy of carrots. I'm going to wrap it up here with this declaration. I am here now, typing, rocking back and forth a little bit in a self-soothing process. I'm going to rest today before the big push, the big rush, the flood, relay of words begins again. Well, that was the plan, but I can't seem to stop typing.
Everybody likes these. Getting orientated. The Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. The Earth is orbiting the Sun at 70,000 miles per hour, or 10,000 times faster than you can legally drive down the interstate. The Milky Way is spinning around like a vinyl record at 140 miles per second, or 504,000 miles per hour. It takes the Sun 226 million years to make one circle around the Milky Way, more than 2 times longer than anything resembling a human being has been walking around on Earth. The Milky Way is moving through space at 190 miles per second, or 684,000 miles per hour. So every single day, the Milky Way travels about 16.5 million miles, or 6 billion miles a year. All this adds up to about 1,200,000 miles per hour that we are traveling right now. How far away are you from where you were born?
Did you really do the math?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Look it up. Whatever.
Look it up on that.
All right. I'll read a couple of short ones. All mine are pretty short. I have the attention span of a gnat. And I'm dyslexic. So what you get is like 10 lines at the most. It's just so hard to pick after David Reach. All right, I'm going to read 2 short ones. This is called Not So Long Ago. A letter written, folded, placed in an envelope, and stamped would be cherished. A visit from a distant relative to come and spend the night would, if asked 3 times. Any of you Southerners know that? In Appalachia, it's kind of a given thing. You say, well, why don't you just stay the night? And they, oh, no, I can't do that. No, really? Just spend the night. They go, nah, thank you. And then if you get a 3rd one, no, we're serious. Please spend the night. We go, okay. We probably would have done it on the 1st, but we have this tradition. A letter written, folded, placed in an envelope, stamped would be cherished. A visit from a distant relative to come and spend the night would, if asked 3 times. Gossip, bless their hearts, brought by way of mouth to ear to mouth again. No mules, nor horses, or oxen to whip and hurry the hell up. That was a long time ago. No air conditioners, internet, television, or cell phones to tell us the fake news. A long time ago, on a hot summer day, sitting on the porch, a cool breeze would have been sublime. You may have to applaud individually for these. I have no shame.
They're just trying to make sure you read another one.
Yeah, I have no shame. Dyslexia, but no shame. This Sunday morning, is cooler than usual. Me and my 3 dogs walk slowly around the quiet park. We enter into a long nap. The sun rises at the same pace it always has. Even on a morning like this, I remember our slowness. I remember and try to never forget again that the poet Neruda is so right. Love is so short. Forgetting is so long. Oh, that's very happy. Barrel of laugh.
Oh, thank you. I was going to try to do this one on my own. No need to do that. So my oldest son got married in January, and I had the honor of reading a poem at the wedding for him and his beautiful wife, and they happen to be here somewhere in the audience. So this is the poem for William and Katie, and it's titled Always Already. A father stands to read a poem about love. His first son will be married today, and all the pleasures and tests of that vow will open before him and before the woman he will devote himself to. Friends and family, bride and groom will listen, maybe, but mostly the deepest, lightest part of themselves will turn inside and talk to itself, remembering their moments of greatest joy. Inside them, between them, around them, twist and tango and jitterbug, the memories and visions of their longing and of their longing fulfilled. Maybe it was a quiet conversation in a loud and rowdy room, and 2 hearts wanted nothing more than to listen to the other's pains and hopes. Or maybe a mountain sunrise hike, gently holding hands and astonished by the silent birth of a new day's beauty. Or maybe it was the first stare of their fragile, naked baby, eyes closed, and oh, that smile bursting thoughtlessly at the sight of them, desire's generous gifts. So the father stands to read a poem about love, but it's really a poem about thanksgiving. Today's blessing is a tender reawakening of joy's perennial bounty, a manifestation of sacred delight. His son's love and his son's bride love will call forth the love that resides in us all, sometimes afraid and shy, but always already present, attentive, and ready to reach out a hand and say yes.
I'm not ready. That's the name of the piece. I'm not ready. Go on without me. I need a little more time. Get myself together, pack my things, get the place in order. Not that I ever did that before. But this time it seems important to leave everything in order. Clean off the desk, pay the bills, if you don't mind waiting. Or you could go on without me. I'll catch up, I promise. I'm just not ready. The sun's coming up soon. The birds are gathering to eat. I like watching it all and filling the feeders when they were empty. And the living room in the morning with the sun sliced through the blinds and across the carpets and the comfortable couches. Beautiful, beckoning. Grateful that I called it home. I'm not ready. You go on ahead. Don't let me keep you. I still have a lot to do. Why didn't I take care of this stuff a little every day? Why let it pile up around me, threatening to topple, worrying me at the back of my mind every time I walk through the door? All those little things undone, waiting, piled up, blocking the view. I can't really go right now. Sorry to inconvenience you like this. Could you come back later? I'm sure you understand how hard it is to leave. I want to make it obvious I was here, that I cared about it, that it mattered to me, and I did my best. But of course, I often did not do my best. And often, too often, let it go by without notice, never feeling the breaths coming in, going out, and that air being part of the air around everything, around me. And even though the world is really immense, just this little place that I could see was plenty. Sometimes I saw it as the gift that it was and is and will continue to be, a gift and a blessing. And all the loves that I got to lie with and rub shoulders with, so to speak, laugh and eat food together, work alongside those other animals. I loved them sometimes, but didn't notice them often. Like the bills piled up on my desk, or the pulsing, breathing world around me that I wandered so often, stuck inside my tiny skull, wondering what was wrong with me or them that made remembering being happy such a chore and so rare a thing. And meanwhile, you were on your way. I didn't think that you would ever arrive. I'm not ready. Sorry.
This is called And Release. She said I had missed her love language completely as the pasta and apricot tenderloin grew cold. Eye to eye, and yet seeing only old ghosts, I was surprised. Saddened in a second and then curious. Is this a Mideastern thing? Or Introverts in Love 101? Did I miss it? Or look for clues in my own love of touch? Not asking to go beyond the joy I was feeling in finding a match. So well met, well timed, well, and that was it. She asked if we should return the keys, call a spade, get concrete about exactly what was going on here. And my words failed. My confidence eroded, my contradictions, misses, unhappiness unresolved. She is still inside me. Her fire roasted deep parts of my soul and tickled places before unexplored, smiles unfathomed, and joy, joy, joy. And something else beneath, creeping into a serene afternoon by the pool as loneliness and disconnection that baffled and confused me. What is the miss when I'm here, beside you, reading, writing, kissing, swimming? What is the miss? She let me know risky parts of herself, asked for my compliance and support, and sought the heart of the matter and failed to reach any conclusions. Just an open what? A pause and hold. But the holding didn't resolve the fear, the fight that was not between us. The kisses did not wash away snakes and ladders, snares and triggers of times past and broken and haunting. I open again to her, but the change has occurred. I am a support team member rather than a lover. I'm a concerned friend who loves from a measured distance. I cannot retrace this summer. I won't apologize for this sea change, only to take blame for things beyond my depth. I set her afloat, heaping praise, encouragements, and loving kindness. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you find a love that finds you back in all your beauty, in all your mystery, and all of your parts now lost to me.
Somebody told me I could read this poem backwards, and it would make as much sense. So I'm gonna try and experiment. It's short, so I'm gonna read it forwards and backwards and forwards. Get me to the jukebox. I don't know where I go, who I be, why I see. Who be you when I'm me? If I'm wrong, I can't breathe. What to do, how to say. Pray with grace, play the eights, down the gin. Think again, maybe yes, maybe no. One thing sure, we all go, then no more. Through the door, final sigh. Close my eyes, let me be. Burnt to ash when I'm gone. Write a song. Write a song when I'm gone. Burnt to ash, let me be. Close my eyes, final sigh through the door, then no more. We all go. One thing sure. Maybe no, maybe yes. Think again. Down the gin. Play the ace. Pray with grace. How to say, what to do. I can't breathe if I'm wrong. When I'm me, who be you? Why I see, who I be, where I go. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know where I go, who I be, why I see, who be you when I meet. If I'm wrong, I can't breathe, what to do, how to say. Pray with grace, play the ace. Down the gin, think again. Maybe yes, maybe no. One thing sure, we all go, then no more. Through the door, final sigh. Close my eyes, let me be burnt to ash when I'm gone. Write a song.
How are y'all doing?
Can you do
Can
one
you
more?
take one more?
Yeah.
One that I've read many times, and it's one of the longer ones, but it's short, comparatively.
Compared to what?
Yours.
The Iliad?
And yours. This is called A Thunderstorm in Mentone. Mentone's a little cottage that I've had up in the mountains for about 28 years. And I'm selling it next week. A thunderstorm in Mentone. The wind is different tonight. The leaves on the trees move easily. Summer rain cleans the horses grazing in the pasture across the road. I saw lightning for the first time in months. It looked like a ragged tuning fork, and I felt the thunder roll through my body. Today, in a house 100 miles away, I saw my father for the first time in 10 years. He sat beside me with his bare shoulder against mine, and we looked at a map. Years ago, I would have wanted more to happen and felt a disappointment, but this meeting moved easily. Part of me, you know, that part that always wants more, finally felt clean. The lightning comes down in jagged lines, and then separates into its times. A tuning fork and a father and son are like that. We talked about gas mileage. Hadn't seen him in 10 years. He said, "So what kind of mileage is that car?" I said, "Well, pretty good." He said, "What is it you're driving out there?" I said, "A Volvo." He said, "Shit." Why don't you get you a Chrysler? American made. No, that's in the point. We talked about gas mileage. Then he showed me the peas he'd grown in his garden. This is the most affection I'm going to get, I thought. Today, this amount of affection was finally enough.
Well, it's a long one.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to do some blatant advertising. Last year, I published this book called Old Men on Tuesday Mornings. A lot of it grew out of our group, back then. And so it's back there if you want to purchase it. And the reason besides just being a person who has to publicize himself, one of the epigrams for the book is from that point. We talked about mileage. Just simply one of the great lines, about everything. We've all put so much mileage on. My little section of our book, I just want to say a little bit about it. The first poem in here is called 3 Teslas. If you're interested, if you go to YouTube and you do 3 Teslas, Lime and Grant, it may come up. There's a video there. And what I wanted the text finally available in print. But there's a video there that was part of the Tesla thing that they had here several years, artists getting together, talking about Tesla. So it's about my stents, actually, another upbeat point, because the stents can withstand 3 Teslas before they pop out in magnetic. So the first 3 poems, 2 of them I read to you, the High Shelf and Always Are Ready for my son and his wife. Those are kind of in form and that sort of stuff. The other poem that I read, Pancakes, and the one I'm about to read are from my current year. I'm doing an experiment in writing, just as you maybe notice the difference in those poems sometimes. And it's just kind of diary-like. I'm trying to document 2018. And publishers agreed to publish that book, so maybe next year we'll be here again. And it's a lot of found poems and things about Trump and our politics and what have you, and then my sort of day-to-day little bitty bits. I guess kind of inspired by Carlos Williams, and this is just to say, I've eaten the plums, which you would probably say. Excuse me. And anyway, so these poems actually don't normally have titles. I had to put titles here, but they normally are just dates. And so this is one from some date I don't remember, sometime in the spring, titled here, Breaks. I was driving the car. I was in a hurry in the city under the elevated train tracks. I was following someone, or someone was following me, and the road divided, but I was going too fast, and someone had taken my lanes, and I needed to slow down, so I put my foot on the brakes, but my foot drops all the way to the floor. I try again and search for the place where the brakes usually engage. It's like massaging a knot that isn't there, and I'm thinking, why don't the brakes work again? What's about to happen? I look at the steel beams, old and rusted in front of me, and I'm thinking, again, my brakes aren't working again, and I'm thinking, I know so well that sensation of unexpected absence of resistance. the surprise of empty space, the foot searching, and I'm thinking, what did I do all those other times when my brakes failed me? And then I wake. It's 6:30, the sun is up, and I don't have to get out of bed because Theo is now on summer break. But the dream has me flustered. And I'm not about, and it's not that I was about to have a wreck. It's that when the brakes failed, when I pushed the foot all the way to the floor, the sensations felt so normal, so ordinary, almost chronic, like, oh, this is happening again. In the dream, I'm not surprised. The person I am in the dream knows this situation well. Even the me watching me in the dream thinks, oh yes, again, that's happening to him again. And it's only the me sitting awake on the bed, the sun bright and alive in the room, who thinks, this is ridiculous. What's up with this guy? When is he ever going to fix those brakes?
A breath and a breath and a breath and another, and then the sudden stopping and the slow stopping and the end of waiting, the end of wondering, the end of seeing how the story ends. This is how the story ends. A breath, and then another breath, and then almost a breath, but nothing. The end of a seemingly endless chain, link by link, passing through our fingers. Every one like the one before, the one to come, forever. The never-ending chain of life, of living, breathing, singing, sighing, in and out. The ceaseless rhythm, stitching us to the curve of our days, our years, our lives. All that we encountered, all that we encompassed, held together by the stitching of the endless chain of breathing in and breathing out. And all the time we fumbled with the knowledge. We didn't quite believe that there would ever be an end, that this does not go on forever. Our chain of breaths began and it will end like all the others. It will span a certain distance, a certain time that others will measure and name, see from its beginning to its end, but not us. We will only feel the links gliding smooth and countless through our fingers in a line behind us, effortlessly emerging, mysteriously, blessedly, seemingly made by all the ones that came before, are now created by the rhythm of our past. Instant by instant, now by now, from our chests, our nostrils, our mouths, taking in the air around us, adding to it, merging us to it, and it to us. And then no more, not another breath, ever. We all come to this, a breath, and then the silence. And whatever happens next happens somewhere else, on the other side. And if there is another side, then maybe things like breaths will happen there. But here, nothing more.
Well, that's interesting. This poem is called Nothing More. I've got the narrative out of sequence a little bit in the way I've put these poems together. I'm going to read two. I think it's pretty clear what I'm reading about. Anyway. I could make love to so many women, but I want only you. I see them, observe myself in cardiac arrest, and imagine your lovely smile, warm mouth, and nothing in this world would bring me to damage this love. Not money, not Lululemon fit and finish. Nothing is more than you. Nothing more than our joy now. And then I go on to another poem. More of the conclusion that I was reading about earlier. And this one is called Not Meant for Me. It's time, and things are fine, and then they're not. As fires burn my hair, you too engulf and ignite. We burn, unable to hold back the unbearable lightness of being. In love, in a time of death and darkness visible, I released you back into the stream of beautiful beings and smiles to light the way when someone else might have better fortune. Pushing less, demanding less, failing you less, we walk away knowing a great love was missed, one not meant for me.
One's real short. Icarus. Wax wings and warnings, but I flew toward the sun anyway. Of course the wings melted. Of course the warnings were right. Of course I fell and fell and fell and fell. The beauty is in doing it. If I had not tried, I would not have believed them. I would have felt restless on the earth, like I only had one shoe. Yeah, I'm going to try this. I've never read this one. It's called August 18th, 1997, 5:15 a.m. I met my dad at sunrise down at the dock exactly 1 year after he passed. I stood there listening to the waves, the seagulls, the metal rings tapping the metal flagpole with a naturally perfect, unpredictable rhythm. The bluff across the bay was in silhouette. He'd painted the landscape so often it had taken on the meaning of safe harbor. The clouds above the bluff began to take on the shape of a man lying on his back in a bed, like my dad had been in his last days. The full moon was going down as the sun was rising, lighting the land before appearing above the horizon. The moon filled the socket where his eye would have been. So there was a cloud profile stretching the whole length of the bluff of a man lying in bed, and his eye was the full moon. And I knew my father was telling me he was there.
Yeah.